are you? You doing okay? Now that it's like Camp Nano over, we feeling good? Good? Today, I want to take you along in the first of what I hope will be a very interesting series of Learn With Me storycraft videos, where I take you along on my journey and struggle to figure out various elements of the very difficult project of writing a novel. First up today, I need to figure out how to write my ending. So if you've ever struggled with writing an ending or what even it means to craft a good ending, come along with me and we're gonna try and figure it out. So in the month of Camp Nano, I spent pretty much the entire month working on pre-writing, which was mostly focused on the backstory to my story. I went into Camp Nano with a broad idea of some elements that I wanted my general story to have, but I didn't really have a fully fleshed out storyline. So now, having done a lot of this background work, I need to turn to my actual story and figure out what the main beats are. This weekend, I want to try and see if I can figure out an ending. It's not going to be a fully fleshed out ending necessarily, but what I'm looking for is like the idea of a way to solve the problem that I can use to build out the rest of my ideas. One thing that always like kind of freaked me out when I first started writing was the fact that authors have to know like the answers to all these plot twists. Like, you know, when you're reading and you're like, wow, I can't imagine who did the crime or whatever. And the authors like need to know who did the crime. And that freaks me out a little bit because I'm never very good at guessing that sort of stuff in books. I don't know. It's always freaked me out. So I feel like it is freaking me out while I'm writing this book. I think that if I have a solution in mind that will like alleviate that fear. This weekend, what I want to do is do some research on how the different writing craft books that I've really enjoyed talk about constructing your ending. And then I want to do some exercises to see if I can come up with something that like feels really exciting. First though, I need to go and get the second dose of my COVID-19 vaccine. I need to walk to the clinic here starting in a couple of minutes. Then I'm probably going to sit at the Starbucks next to it for like a little bit, and I'm going to bring my computer and do a little bit of work there. Let's go. Got my second dose. I am officially fully vaccinated. So I just got back from my appointment and hanging out at the Starbucks for a little while, where I started out by looking through what Story Genius has to say. So the first thing that I noticed about looking into this is that it's really not clear to me what people mean by the ending. So for a little while, I was thinking that she was talking about the climax, and she says a lot of things that make you think it would be the climax. This is the moment when the MC is able to solve the external problem. But getting towards the end, she says a couple of things that make me think she's talking more about that aha moment that happens right after the character's like been driven to their lowest moment. This revelation is what gives them the courage in order to face the final battle, which sounds to me like something that happens as you're launching into Act 3. The second thing that I noticed is that I think my character's goal is like not clear enough at all. Basically, I was like, my main character wants to end the war, which like tells you nothing. How does she want to end the war? Does she want somebody to win? Does she want somebody to lose? Is she looking for like a lasting peace, or like just long enough for her to skip town? And for a character who I think is very intelligent and strategic, she would have a full plan. I need to know what that is, because that answer will be her goal throughout the whole story, and it will determine what the stakes are. More clear than ending the war. This is like part of the Hydra problem of the novel. You know, like you start trying to cut off one head and then like another head becomes more important, and so like you're jumping back and forth. But I think that this is important, so I'm gonna take a minute and I think do some writing sprints. Okay, so it's actually going really well. I think I came up with something really good that feels right for her like goal. The problem is that now I need to figure out how it ties into my plot idea, and I need a really strong tie. I think I'm gonna get a little bit of lunch, and then I'm gonna come back and free write a little bit. And then I think honestly, in resolving how they coalesce, I think that will actually help me a lot in coming up with the ending. But first, food. So satisfying. Okay, So I've been working on the 3 questions from Story Genius. Honestly, I'm getting stuck on the 3rd question for Story Genius because it feels like, okay, now answer the problem, which I'm like, coming up with that event is literally my whole issue. So I am gonna skip that one and I'm gonna go to my next writing craft book, which I've been reading recently and honestly have really loved. I don't know if you can see this. Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland. It gives a lot more detail about how to structure your character's internal journey throughout the story. I feel like Story Genius gives you a broad brushstroke of the type of character transformation that you want, and I think it's most useful in coming up with baseline, what does your character want, what do they need, what is their misbelief. Once you get into the actual story, like trying to figure out, okay, so where should my character be at emotionally at any given moment in the story. I think that this book gives a lot more of that detail and was super helpful. It's broken out by chapters of the character arc beats, and there is a beat for figuring out the answer to the problem. So I'm gonna go back and reread that chapter, take a few notes, and see if it sparks anything for me as I go into my next exercise, trying to brainstorm this ending revelatory event. So it's a little bit later today. I went ahead and made myself some dinner, but I did go through the chapters in the Creating Character Arcs book. They basically talk about the aha moment in a positive character arc. They choose the thing that they need over the thing that they want. They almost sacrifice their overarching external goal in order to fulfill their kind of internal need. Then we get to the climax, which is them proving once and for all that they have changed. And because they have learned this truth, they are able to accomplish their goal. So I need to figure out the events that lead her to her darkest moment, the tools she's going to be given there, and how she's going to use them to succeed in the end. One thing that I'm still not clear on is exactly how this falls into the Save the Cat beat sheet and if this does really align. So I think what I want to do is take a minute and look through the Save the Cat book and see if I can figure out exactly how these 2 plot points plot onto the Save the Cat beat sheet. Well, first of all, dagnabbit. Every time, for some reason, when I read the Act 3 section of the beat sheet in Save the Cat, I get a little bit misty-eyed. I mean, they're not even telling like a real story. They're just like, and then the hero does this general thing and this general thing. I just find myself being like, yeah. This can be the recipe for a very resonant story. So anyhow, it's so interesting how all 3 of these writing craft books like are written by different people about different things, but they really echo the same sentiments. I find hearing it in a bunch of different ways to really give me new depth and understanding of it all. I basically took notes on everything from the all is lost, like the rock bottom moment, all the way through the finale. And I think it's interesting because the way Save the Cat breaks it down is like your character has multiple moments where they like kind of realize the truth, they realize what they need to do, they make a plan, but then that plan doesn't work. And at kind of the last moment, they have to dig down deeper than they ever have before and finally fully embrace the theme in order to overcome the plot problem. I think this gave me a lot of clarity on what exactly the ending moment is, that final climactic moment. They say your character makes a choice to do something that they never would have done at the start of the book. When I've been thinking to myself, I don't know what the ending is, I think that is what I have been thinking of. The deepest, most resonant choice that she's going to have to make at the end of the novel. What is that choice and how does it solve the plot problem? But I do think there's kind of something to be said for me thinking out the rough beats of the entire 3rd act before I go through the rest, because I just really like the idea of knowing where I'm going, and I think that it will probably help me choose what subplots I want to weave in. There are a couple of other quotes that I really liked from the Save the Cat beat sheet that really got the gears turning. When they talk into the break into 3, which is where your character figures out the thing that they need to do essentially to beat the antagonist, this realization is generally accompanied by the following satisfying realization. It was never them who had to change. It was always me. Just the idea of like my main character realizing it was never the people around her that needed to change in order for her to accomplish her goal. It was her. I just think that's so powerful. It sparks concrete scene ideas for me. So I might do a little bit more writing today, but for the most part, I think I'm going to wrap this up and then go do some adulting that I need to do. And I think I'm going to be back again tomorrow to do some more free writing based on the copious notes that I took today. I'm so excited to get into this. I feel like I'm having a lot of ideas and I just need to sit down and have a couple really concrete brainstorming sessions. See you in the next one. I think I'm gonna pop back on and work with some of these live streams. Helene Foy has a live stream going on tonight with Sarah LeBrat, Autumn Ashley, and Angela Ann. So I'm going to read over my notes again, and then I think I'm either going to free write or use my sticky noting method. I'm gonna look over my notes first and then I'll decide. Got some good words in, ended up doing some free writing in addition to my sticky noting. I think a few of the ideas I came up with were good. So that's gonna be it for me tonight. See y'all tomorrow. Hey everyone, it's the next morning and I am about to get back into the planning, the plotting, the outlining. I'm excited to sit down and get some work done before I need to do some more adulting this evening. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out by doing some timed writing sprints to do some free writing. We'll see how far we get today. I haven't vlogged in a minute because I have had a very full afternoon chatting with some of the folks on the Discord, catching up after a long time not really chatting in Camp Nano. Had a good conversation with one of my old friends, and I did my taxes because those are due tomorrow. So after all of that, I actually have gotten a lot done in terms of figuring out my ending. I have come up with a really compelling idea for what will bring my character to her rock bottom moment and why, which I'm really excited about. I think I know the broad brushstroke of the choice that she's going to have to make coming out of that rock bottom moment, but I don't fully know what the correct choice is going to be for her, partially because I don't know that. I don't fully know the climax moment. So a couple of ideas, but none of them have really sung to me in particular. And I think I need to have a little bit more clarity about that correct choice that she makes going into Act 3. But honestly, even so far, even if I were to end the vlog here, it's been such a productive weekend. This has been so much fun going through these different craft books, getting these different ideas has been super inspiring, and just taking time to sit down and free write and sticky note. It's been awesome. I've had a great time. 10 out of 10 would recommend. In any case, let's get to doing a little bit more free writing on those two moments. Let's go. Alrighty, so I got a little bit more brainstorming done. I didn't solve all of my problems, but I think I feel good about what I've done this weekend and I'm ready to wrap this up. Before I wrap up this vlog, I wanted to share with you guys the three most inspiring lines or concepts that I got out of these writing craft books in how to craft my ending. So the first concept I really loved is to make sure that your all is lost moment, your moment of rock bottom, making sure that that moment is partially your main character's fault. The main character basically digging themselves into the worst possible hole yet really sets up the final transformation. I really liked the idea of making sure that my all is lost wasn't just a big attack by my antagonist, but was maybe a big attack by my antagonist that came because my main character had given away some important piece of information because she didn't trust other people, which is her big flaw. Something like that. That's not what it is, but that's an idea. The second concept that I really liked was the idea that some of the most resonant endings are found in the beginning. Going back to where your story starts and using that as inspiration for figuring out how your story ends was really helpful for me because I know a lot about where my main character began. That's what I spent most of Camp Nano working on. I know a lot about her flaw, the wound that she got and how she got that wound. Imagining how it would have played out differently if instead mind she had used the truth, or the people around her had used the truth. I found that to be really powerful and helpful in thinking about how I could potentially mirror that image at the end, but make a different choice. And the last concept I want to share was an idea that I got from Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland. Crafting your climactic test, taking that action, something that your character on page 1 never would have done. I think the more dramatic your character arc, the farther away those two things should be. Making this a choice that's maybe foreshadowed or alluded to earlier in the story as something that she would never do. After going through all of this stuff and all of the hardships of the story, getting to the very end and realizing that that is the thing that she needs to do, and she chooses to do it for all the right reasons. I love that concept. It gives me little chills. So even though I don't 100% know the solution she's going to come up with, I think that this was a super productive weekend. I have learned so much more about my story. I'm really proud of the fact that I did have a couple moments this weekend where I came up with an idea and I was like, ooh, wow, that feels really strong. I could see a really good scene coming out of that. I hope that you've enjoyed this Learn With Me storycraft video. This is honestly what my writing process looks like. I do a lot of research on storycraft and then I come up with ideas. Let me know down below what your favorite tips are for coming up with the ending of your story, and if you have any strategies or methods that you use to figure out how to tie everything up. Also, let me know if you're ever afraid, like I am, that you'll make a problem so difficult in your story that you don't know how to fix it. I will give a quick plug that I am doing a live stream, not this next weekend, but the weekend after that, with Autumn Ashley on May 29th at 9 a.m. EST. And look out for some live stream notifications coming your way from the channel as well. And as always, I will see you all right back here very soon. Bye. Pfizer gang, where you at? I love the comments, but the chat is my favorite. I made some fun drawings because I just can't hold that many things in my mind at once. I think that that is plenty from me.